Okay, in this occasion, I'm going to explain to you a little about group comparison test. And in these statistics that we're going to use independent sample t-tests. So you use these statistics if you want to compare the mean scores between two groups of participants. And I will give you some example. Example one is comparing the reading score between class X and class Y. And then comparing the GPA between male and female group, and then comparing the writing score between high motivated and low motivated group of students. Before doing the t-test, these are two prerequisite tests to fulfill. The first one is normality of data distribution test, and we are going to use Sapir-Whorf and Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. And then the second one is homogeneity of variances test, and we're going to use Leibniz statistic test. We are going to discuss these two prerequisite tests before doing the t-test. And then we have a research question. Is there any mean difference of growth mindset between female and male students? And then we can make two hypotheses. The HO is there is no significant mean difference of growth mindset between female and male. And then the H8, there is a significant mean difference of growth mindset between female and male. So let's do the analysis. So these are the data, and then because we're going to follow my number of students, we can search it in above the data. My number of student is 24120 and then we find it. And I'm going to search the test, sex, and group mindset. So we click in learning motivation and we see here the sex, and we just need to block it to the bottom and copy it into SPSS. And we need to copy all of the data and go to SPSS. Just directly copy paste the data from Excel. And then we're going to the data Excel again. And then we click in growth mindset and then search my number of students to 412021200. And then we find the data here. And as we did before, we just block it in the bottom and copy it into SPSS again. And we copy it in the column 2. And then the first thing that you need to do is go to variable view. And then we see the name is here. We can change it into S. And then the second is GM. And then we can label it into sex. And then growth mindset. And then the values here, because sex is for female and male, we click 3 dots. And we can see here, we can click in value is F and the label is female. And then we add it. And then the value is M and the label is male. And then we add it again. And click OK. And then the measure, because the groups here, female and male, is a nominal scale, we click nominal. And then growth mindset is a interval scale. We don't have a interval scale and just click scale here. So the first thing we have to do is to check the normality of data distribution test using the Sapir-Whorf Kolmogorov Smirnov test. So in the SPSS, we click Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and Explore. So we see the column here. We put growth mindset in the dependent list and sex in vector list. And then we click Plots. We click Histogram, Normality Plots with Stats, and Power Estimation. After we click it, click Continue, and we click OK. So we have the results here now. The thing that you have to see is the test of normality. And then let's have a closer look to this table. So in SPSS, p-value is seen by sig value or the significant value. So if p-value is above 0.05, it means that the data is normality distributed. And if p-value below 0.05, it means that the data is not normality distributed. And then if the data is normally distributed, we use the t-test. So as you can see from the table here, based on Kolmogorov-Smirnov, that the p-value is 0.20, it means that the data is above 0.05 and we can use. So as you can see from the table here, based on Kolmogorov-Smirnov test, that the value of female and male is above 0.05, it means that the data is normally distributed. And also based on the Sapir-Whorf is above 0.05, it means that the data is normally distributed. So because the data is normally distributed from Kolmogorov-Smirnov and Sapir-Whorf, we're going to use the test here. So the second one is the test of homogeneity of variances. So let's take a look on this table. This is the table of homogeneity of variances. So if p-value is below 0.05, it means that the variances between the two groups are not equal. And if p-value above 0.05, the variances between the two groups are equal. If it is the variances between the two groups are equal, you use equal variances assume. Equal variances is assumed in t-test because in t-test you will have two kinds of tables there. So let's take a look on this table. You can see that the significant value is above 0.05. It means that the variances between the two groups are equal. And now we're going to test the hypothesis. To test the hypothesis, you can click Analyze, Compare Means, and Independent Sample t-test. And you can put the growth mindset in the test variables, and then sex in grouping variable. Because the sex here is question mark, you can define group first. In group 1, we type female, and then the group 2 is male. After that, we click continue, and then you can see the group variable, click OK. So in here, we got the 3 tables, but now we're going to discuss group statistics and independent sample tests. And this is the hypothesis testing. So let's have a closer looks. So this is the first table that you can see from the hypothesis testing, which is group statistics. Because we want to see the difference between two groups, we can see the mean score of the two groups here. The female is 5.4 and the male is 5.7. It means that the growth mindset of male group is better than the female group. There are some difference here, but we don't know whether this is significant or not. So to see whether there is significant or not, we need to see the hypothesis testing. By using the t-test. So this is the table, and I provide you again with the hypothesis. This is the hypothesis that we want to check. There is no significant mean difference in reading score between male and female. There are two conditions here. The first one is if the p-value is below 0.05, it means that the test rejects the HO. It means that we are confident that the HA is correct. So it means that there is a significant mean difference. And if the p-value is above 0.05, it means that the test fails to reject the HO, and it means that we are not confident that the HA is correct. If we are not confident the HA is correct, it means that we retain the XO. So let's have a look on this table. Now you can see there are two tables here, the above and the below table. We can go back to the test of homogeneity variances. We know that the p-value is above 0.05. So it means that the variances between two groups are equal. So you just need to see the equal variances assumed in the test. So in the t-test, we need to see the table, the above table here. This is the equal variances assumed, not equal variances not assumed. This is what we are going to look at. So we need to see the p-value. So in here, the p-value is above 0.05. So it means that the test fails to reject the HO, and we are not confident that the HA is correct. So because the significant here is above 0.05, it means that the test fails to reject the HO, and with the T is 1.196, DF is 122, P is 0.234, and P is above 0.05, it means that the test fails to reject the HO. Because the test fails to reject the null hypothesis, we are not confident the HA is correct. It means that we need to retain the HO. So in conclusion, there is no significant mean difference in group mindset between female and male, with T is 1.196 and the F is 122, with the P is above 0.05. So I think that's all about my explanation about the test. I hope you learned something, and thank you for watching.